What kind of dad are you when they bring a boy home and they say, I'm dating this?
Oh, I'm fine.
chump?
I'm cool with that. You know what I
You
mean?
don't turn all Boston like.
No.
What are you doing with?
What happens when Hollywood's most grounded A-lister becomes the full-time dad of 4 daughters? From diaper duty to red carpet cameos, Matt Damon's journey as a girl dad is anything but ordinary. In this video, we're moving into the rare, heartwarming, and sometimes hilarious moments that show a whole new side of the Oscar winner. Get ready to meet the Damon girls and see the family behind the fame. The meet cute that started it all. Matt Damon wasn't looking for love in 2003, long before people started calling him girl dad goals. But love found him anyway. It didn't happen at a fancy Hollywood party or an event with a red carpet, not at all. It took place in a Miami bar with flashing lights, loud music, and lots of sweaty tourists. In that moment, Damon was in Florida making Stuck on You, and he went out with his group one night. But things didn't really stay quiet. As soon as his fans saw him, the night changed. Cameras went off. A lot of people were crowded. Instead of enjoying all the attention, Damon did something very strange. He hid behind the bar. That's right, the pub where Luciana Barroso worked that night. Things get better now. Luciana wasn't amazed by the stars. She wasn't trying to make him like her. Someone from Hollywood was standing behind her bar, so she gave him the look that said, "If you're standing here, you better be useful." Indeed, that's what he did. Damon had trained as a barman years before for a movie, so he jumped right in and mixed drinks, kept up and helped out like it was nothing. There was no romance in this scene, though. This happened in real life. That's what caught him off guard. A real woman with a real job who didn't care who he was. There was no star treatment for him behind that bar. He wasn't Oscar winner Matt Damon. He was just a guy trying to fit in, serve her drinks, and keep her attention. Luciana wasn't just working that night, though. She had to be somewhere important as well. Her answer when Damon asked her to hang out after the night was over was no. It wasn't that she wasn't interested. She had a kid at home, Alexia, who is 4 years old. That was her world. Not even a movie star came before it. This is where most stories like this end. You'd think the actor would run away, find something easier to do, and escape the baggage. But Damon? He got closer. Not right away. That's when you know this wasn't just a one-night stand. This was the start of something strong. He did not try to avoid his duty. Instead, he respected it. He didn't think Luciana's daughter was a problem. He saw her as a deal-breaker, but he was all for it. That moment wasn't just the beginning of the end of their relationship. It was the start of a whole new path in life. One without scripts or spotlights, but with bedtime habits and getting up early in the morning. The wedding between Damon and Luciana in 2005 was one of the most private you'll ever see. Not a media show. Don't use camera lenses. There was only a quiet promise between two people, and it was the little girl who had already changed Damon's life forever. Slowly becoming a parent is what most people do. She jumped right in with both feet. He didn't need time to get used to it. Alexia wasn't someone else's child to him. It didn't matter what. She was always his daughter. Nothing for the press. Not a big secret. Just love. The kind that stays true and doesn't need to be in the news. And while everyone watched Matt Damon become an action hero on TV, something much more important was going on behind the scenes. He was going to be a dad, but not by blood. After that choice, everything else would be different. Damon didn't act like a stepdad when he taught Alexia how to drive, put her in his movie We Bought a Zoo, and watched as she became a woman he's proud of. He went through it, completely. And they didn't ask for praise. It wasn't just a love story. It was the start of a family. The kind that most famous people use duct tape to keep together. What about Damon and Luciana? They put in a lot of time, trust, and heart to build theirs. As Alexia grew up with Matt by her side, something else was about to change. There were going to be a lot more Damon girls. But what happens when the tough guy that everyone loves in Hollywood has a daughter? Let's talk about the first baby girl who woke him up, shocked him, and turned everything upside down. Raising Alexia like his own. Alexia existed before the movie openings, the matching red carpet looks, and long before anyone in public called Matt Damon Dad. She didn't become famous overnight. She didn't grow up with cameras around her. She wasn't in a love story in the tabloids. Alexia was Luciana's daughter and was born in 1999. She changed Damon's life before he married her mom, but he didn't know it. She didn't know what Matt was going to do when he walked into her life. He didn't make a big deal out of himself or try to impress her with his fame. Instead, he just showed up, regularly and fully. He could act like her dad, even if he wasn't her real dad. He became a part of her life and never left. That's what most people miss. Life doesn't give everyone a job. They've been picked. That was Matt's choice. He didn't treat her like she was his duty. She felt like family to him. He wasn't only there on holidays and parties. He was there for her in the little things, like when she needed someone to teach her how to drive or watch her at school events. It wasn't about making a good parent look good. It was about being one during real life, without being the center of attention. We Bought a Zoo is a movie about starting over and redoing your life. He gave Alexia a small role in it. It wasn't just a nice thing to do. That meant you're a part of my world, on and off screen. Some fans thought it was cute, but it was really a sign of something much deeper. He invited more than just her. He built his whole life around her. Time and the world kept going around. As a child, Alexia didn't grow up in the spotlight of fame. Instead, she knew that someone looked out for her, all the time. Damon never said anything big in public about being her stepdad. He did not have to. What he did said it all. It was never a question when he talked about her in interviews. He didn't treat her like a daughter. She really was his daughter. When she was younger, Damon put her to bed. Now that she's in her 20s, she's making big choices on her own. She is seeing someone seriously. What more could be said than the fact that Luciana and Damon love her boyfriend so much? She's grown up, but she's grown up really well, feeling sure, calm, and thoughtful. The kind of person who has always been loved well, so she knows how to love. That level of growth doesn't just happen. It comes from a safe place for you, from parents who show their kids the way. Being aware of your own worth before someone else does. That's what Alexia had. Not the flashy childhood people think teen stars get, but the real kind, the strong kind, where love doesn't need to be the center of attention. Alexia was the first person, the plan, the start of everything. Damon also learned something as he took care of her. Being a dad wasn't about genes or last names. It was about being there. Every choice he made, every sacrifice he made, and every day became extraordinary because he chose to be there. Damon's journey as a dad didn't end there, though. Not even close. It was right after Alexia that he had his first daughter by blood. She would travel the world before she turned 1, make fun of his acting job, and keep him humble in a way that only a firstborn child can. Isabella Damon. After having Alexia and becoming a dad, Matt Damon didn't slow down. He thought he had a good handle on being a parent until Isabella came along. Now everything was louder, funnier, and a lot less dependable. Isabella was born in 2006 and was Matt and Luciana's first real child together. It wasn't a quiet entrance for her into the world. From the moment she got there, she was full of. Although Damon was busy with high-stakes stunts and film shoots around the world, she was already making a name for herself. Not on movie sets, but in the background, as the little tornado that was turning his life upside down in the best way possible. Damon brought his baby girl, Isabella, with him when they were making the Bourne ultimatum. Even though it sounds nice, it meant late nights, jet lag, and feeding babies in hotel rooms between long days of shooting. There was real exhaustion that began to show. It seemed strange, but it helped. He looked tired, and he felt like he was being pulled in 2 different ways. This made him weak. Even so, Bourne wasn't meant to look clean. Later, Damon said that not getting enough sleep gave him an edge, and he didn't even have to act. Isabella, on the other hand, was only a year old, but had already been to more countries than most people. It had 11 stamps in it before she turned 1 year old. She loved traveling and was very good at getting through airports. Most people don't remember their first flight, but hers would have looked like a trip around the world. Many kids were learning to crawl at the same time that Isabella was being carried around movie sets, foreign towns, and press tour stops. But fame didn't change her. That was made sure of by Damon and Luciana. It became clear that Isabella wasn't just smart as she got bigger. She was also funny. Not the funny stuff you share on social media, but deep and smart stuff. She never went crazy over her dad's pictures. To be exact, she made it her goal to roast them. His work was praised by people all over the world. But Isabella just rolled her eyes and picked it apart. People loved films, but she wouldn't watch them. Looking for goodwill? Not interested. If it looked even slightly like it had good reviews, she skipped it. But she would watch if it bombed, floundered, or got dragged by reviewers. Not in a quiet way. She would watch just to laugh, to tease, in order to tell him that she could still criticize him even though he was famous. After starring in The Great Wall, which Damon later said wasn't his best work, Isabella went one step further. It was her name. It's just the wall. There's no need to say great. In her eyes, there was no sign of greatness. Damon didn't get mad, though. He leaned into it. He wasn't the cool Hollywood dad who no one could mess with. The dad whose daughter made fun of him, and he loved it all in secret. Everyone thinks that Matt Damon won an Oscar for his acting. She thinks of him as the type of person who tries too hard, never quite gets the joke right, and is constantly put down. She makes sure of that. Still, he never says anything bad, because Isabella gave him something very valuable in between the jabs and jokes: the truth. She tells him that being grounded is more important than how many awards he gets. Being grounded has never been a problem for Damon, especially with a daughter like her. But just when he thought he had found the right mix between fame and being a dad, another challenge came along. This time it wasn't sarcasm, it was wide-eyed wonder, big questions, and a love of horses and history. Because next up was Gia, and she didn't just travel the world with him. She met one of the most legendary people to ever walk it, the worldly middle child. Matt already knew how quickly things could change before Gia Damon was born. She was born on August 20, 2008, during a busy time for her dad's work. But this time, Damon paused. He took time off from TV and films and made a decision that said it all. Family came first. Gia walked into a house that was already full of people and activity. She did bring something different, though, something quieter and more interesting. Gia was quiet and interesting, like a spark covered in wonder, while Isabella was full of fire and humor. Her world was big from the start. She lived on the road before preschool, on film sets in foreign countries, and with people she didn't know. It wasn't because she was famous. Some kids grow up in the same area. Gia spent her childhood on movie sets. From folding chairs and movie trailers, she watched scenes play out. The first thing she remembers are movie theater lights and faraway places. Invictus, which was shot in South Africa, was one of those sets. And that's where something once in a lifetime would happen to an adult. Gia stood next to Nelson Mandela while most children were learning how to say colors and numbers. It wasn't faked. It wasn't meant to make the news. Well-known people from around the world were having a quiet moment with two little girls who didn't know how important it was yet. Damon later remembered that Gia and Isabella had their eyes on him the whole time, not taking a break, not bored. I am just blown away. They looked at him the whole time. They didn't need to know everything about his past to know that something amazing was going on. Such was the start of Gia's story, not through fame, but through deep, important events that left a mark without words. She didn't grow up just watching her dad act. She watched what moved him, what mattered to him outside the screen: human rights, climate change, and doing good deeds. It started to show in her over time, but not through talks or campaigns. Instead, it came out in a way that most kids that age never do. She was also on the set of True Grit. The dirty boots, big skies, and horses there were more interesting to her than any movie camera could have been. It wasn't the glitz that she remembered. It was the real deal. Everyone, the way of life, how different places feel. There was a time when Gia had to write articles about the world, but she already had ideas about it. Damon always said that having girls changed the way he thought, not just about parenting, but also about leaving a mark. He didn't just want to be known for his jobs and awards. He wanted to give something real, values, humanity, and a different point of view. In his early years, Gia had the chance to do just that. She took it all in, not like a famous kid, but like a tourist learning about how big the world is. She didn't make a fuss about it. She didn't have to be. Gia's appearance has always been more solitary, introspective, and quiet. But that's what makes her stand out. She doesn't fill the space with noise. She uses it for something. And that feeling of calm turned into something real as she aged. She was the kind of middle child who didn't try to get attention because she was sure of herself, held down, deeply felt. She already had a little of the world in her pocket. But just as things were getting back to normal, Damon's family grew again. This time it wasn't just getting used to a new baby. It was also dealing with complete chaos, sleepless nights, and realizing that having 4 girls made you the oldest of the family. The baby with the big impact. Matt Damon probably thought he was a great dad by the time Stella Damon was born on October 20, 2010. He had been through all the firsts, the late nights, the nappy changes in airports, and the never-ending stream of questions that only kids could think of. He had 3 girls, so he had seen everything. But nothing can get you ready for what happens when number 4 comes along. Even more so when you're already outnumbered, tired, and barely able to keep the house together. Stella didn't wait until it was easy to be born. She got there early. At the same time, Damon was handling the premieres of 2 films in a row, Hereafter and True Grit. While most stars were going from press junkets to hotel suites, Damon had 2 lives. One where he smiled for the camera, and one where he warmed baby bottles at 3 a.m. There was more to this than just juggling. It had to do with moving everything. When Stella was born, the Damon family had to make a lot of changes. The power changed. The beat changed. Damon and Luciana were not only taking care of a big family, they were also making it through life with no room for error. The days turned into nights quickly. There was a new kind of chaos in the layout of the house. And in some way, the confusion made things better. Damon began to find humor in how tired he was. He would joke that he had found a secret trick. If you accept that you're tired, you'll have more time to get things done. His doctor might not have approved of it, but it worked for him. He dropped kids off at school without thinking, did press interviews with baby spit on his shirt, and couldn't even remember what day it was. But none of it felt like a burden. He was living in Hollywood, and the way he used to think wasn't possible. Behind closed doors, he was holding bottles, folding clothes, and rushing to pick up the other kids from school before the bell rang. That's how the world saw him still putting on great shows. This wasn't a break from the real world. It was the truth. More than anything else, it was important. The mood in the house changed when Stella came in. It wasn't like she was just another baby in the queue. Everyone had to change because of her. Her sisters took on new roles like helper, guardian, and sometimes unintentional babysitter. The 2 of them worked together even more. The house got bigger to make room for her, even though it was already full of noise and people moving around. During all of that chaos, Damon made a choice that was more important than any Instagram post or red carpet quote. He got 4 inks, 1 for each of his girls. Every name tattooed on his body is permanent, unique, and can't be changed by cameras or reviewers. It wasn't just for show. It was a quiet statement. These people make me who I am. Stella did not spend her childhood on movie sets like her sisters did. During her early years, she spent more time at home. This was partly because Damon had fewer parts, and partly because she needed more attention. She brought new life into the house. She was small but strong, the kind of kid who can change the mood of the room just by being there. Something else became clear when she came along. Damon wasn't just putting his family ahead of his fame. He was also leaving a legacy in his own house. Late nights, early starts, socks that don't match, forgotten lunches, and a love that wasn't dependent on having everything go exactly as planned. Stella didn't just finish the picture, it was much more real because she made it bigger and messier. The Damon family wasn't just getting bigger with her, it was becoming something very special, but not perfect, just really close. More than that, though, it became clear as the girls got older and the house became its own normal. Damon didn't just raise daughters, he raised strong, smart, funny people with their own minds, even though he tried to keep their lives secret. The world would sometimes catch a glimpse of them and be shocked by what they saw. People were shocked not only by how beautiful the Damon girls were when they finally got some attention, even if it was only for a short time. They were shocked by how real they seemed. The Damon household. It takes energy to raise a girl. Bringing up 4, that's a totally different world. But Matt Damon agreed to do that. Being a girl dad at the Damon house doesn't mean being overprotective or emotional. It means you have to listen more than talk. Be there even when you're tired, and make a space where every girl feels seen. It's easy to think that all he does is go to movie openings and movies. But inside those walls, it's about board games, picking up kids from school, late-night talks, and getting used to living with 4 different people. When you live with 4 girls, you're not just raising kids, you're also taking care of a world of feelings, thoughts, and voices that all want to be heard. Damon doesn't try to take over that world either. He fits in. It's not like the tough, old-fashioned dads in films who make rules and punish kids. He's the type of dad who values relationships over being in charge. He has said it himself in interviews. Getting his girls to feel good about themselves is the most important thing. He does this because he knows he won't always be in the room when they decide what to do. He can help them trust their own voice, though. He is a good dad because he shows up more than he shows off. Making things the same is more important than being cool. That means he's not barking orders or showing off his power. He gives his girls room to learn, make mistakes, and feel safe while they do so. That's where the Damon family lives, not fame, not building. Trust and time are all you need. Things have changed for the girls as they've grown up. Damon has said that they're not so little anymore. As they become young women, they need a whole new level of emotional intelligence. This comes with new energy and difficulties. The days of cartoons and temper fits at snack time are over. Now it has to deal with relationships, pressure, and personality in the real world while trying not to hover too much. He's even made fun of the fact that he feels far away from things sometimes, especially with Isabella. She is smart, sharp-tongued, and always ready to make him feel bad when he thinks he's being relatable. Damon doesn't fight that change, though. He leans in. He keeps an open mind, laughs at himself, and lets them teach him too. There is more than one way to be a parent in the Damon home. There is a chat, and it's not just about individual times. It's about the rhythm of the whole house. Every girl has her own beat, her own mood, her own way of dealing with the world. Damon's job isn't to force them into one shape. It's to figure out how to move with each of them in their own time. During the pandemic, something unexpected happened. Things moved more slowly. The cameras turned off. The trip stopped. He was also home all the time for the first time in a long time. Don't take breaks, not any distractions, just lots of time with his girls. The plan was for a hard restart. It was true, not how you might think. The link grew, not the distance, most of all with Isabella. She should have been pulling away at that age, becoming more independent and making her own place. But being locked down gave them extra time. We have time to talk, joke, and just be with each other without a reason. He said it was a gift, a strange gift that came out of the blue in the middle of chaos. Things weren't made better, it was still loud in the house, and things were still a mess. They didn't know they needed time to just be together, but it gave them that. That meant a lot in a home where time is often very short. When the spotlight finds them. It's not a big deal for the Damon girls. To get respect, they don't post everything online all the time or try to become big names. But they stop everything when they do show up in public, which doesn't happen very often. In 2023, they did just that. For one of Matt's movie openings, the whole family walked the red carpet together. Luciana and Matt looked cool and sure of themselves in their sleek black clothes. But Isabella, Gia, and Stella, the girls, were the ones who made the carpet shine. Each girl wore a different flower dress with soft patterns that made her stand out without trying too hard. They didn't go together. They were not made to go popular. They just looked like themselves, at ease, grounded, and beautiful all the time. The internet was talking non-stop. They were interesting to everyone. What they were, why they were so calm, how Matt and Luciana were able to raise girls who seemed so real. But that was only a sneak peek. Just a moment. To be honest, most of their lives are quiet and take place behind closed doors. They're not growing up with flashlights on all the time. They're growing up in cars and homes, having quiet talks, and having a lot on their plates. Even with all the fame, movies, and attention, Damon has always said that they get to live a pretty normal life. And being fans is part of that normal life. The world slowed down during the pandemic, and the Damon family focused on doing easy things, making food together, seeing shows. It looks like they keep playing the same song. Perhaps one of those soundtracks? David Bowie. They knew all of his songs by the time he went on tour. Like any good dad, Damon took his girls to Madison Square Garden to see him perform. It was a moment for him and them. When you were in their world, you knew the songs they liked, the jokes they told, the things that helped them feel seen, but it wasn't always bright. During the same time period, one of Damon's children was teaching him a public lesson. He thought it was funny to use a line from one of his older works in a story. What about the word he used? It was out of date, not nice. He heard it from his daughter, who didn't yell but with strong words. She got up from the table. After that, she wrote him a message telling him that word had no place in their home or anywhere else. The job switched right away. The daughter taught. Damon paid attention, but how does a man go from being a rising star in the acting world to being the mental center of a family of 5? The end of that story is not premieres, but memory. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this peek into Matt Damon's incredible girl dad journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And hey, click the following video popping up now.